The Consulting Success podcast is powered by the Clarity Coaching Program. If you'd like to work directly with the Consulting Success team and receive personal coaching and support to optimize and grow your consulting business, marketing, and revenue, visit consultingsuccess.com to find out more and apply.
Welcome to the Consulting Success Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Zipursky. In this podcast, we'll dive deep into the world of elite consultants, where you'll learn the strategies, tactics, and mindset to grow a highly profitable and successful consulting business. Hey, have you ever felt this way? I was speaking with one of our coaching clients recently, and they shared with me that they were planning to do a webinar. They'd never done one before, and they thought, given especially what's going on in the world right now, that it would be beneficial for them and for their business. But they'd just been thinking about it. Months had gone by and they hadn't launched it. And I asked them when they brought this up, I said, why? They said, well, I don't know if I'm going to have enough people on the webinar. I'm not sure if it's worthwhile for me to do. And I see this type of thinking quite often. Yet it's thinking that I believe can actually hold people back. And so here's what I mean by that. Let's break down the situation together. Let's say that you want to run a webinar and you want to have a whole bunch of people on the webinar, right? You want to share your knowledge, your expertise. You want to make an impact with people. You want to demonstrate your ability and your knowledge and skill set. Well, here's why this mindset of, I have to have enough, or things need to be just perfect, or everything has to be in order. Why this mindset will actually hold you back more than it will springboard you forward. And that is because if, let's just say that you went out, because here's the process for running a webinar, right? I'll break this down into a few parts. So first of all, you're going to think about who do you want to have on the webinar. So let's say that you've identified a group of ideal clients. Now you reach out to these ideal clients and you invite them to join your webinar. So you're sending them an email, maybe multiple emails, maybe a phone call, maybe a message on LinkedIn. Then as the date approaches, you might now have a few of those people that have said yes, and they've registered, they've told you to sign them up. Then the day of the webinar actually happens and you jump on and you find out that maybe only 30% of the people that said that they would be there are now on the webinar. And so let's just say you had 10 people and maybe there's only 3 people that actually show up. And you might look at that and go, oh, that sucks. It's such a disappointment. It's a waste of my time. But is it really? And I would suggest that it isn't. Here's why. Let's say that you reached out to 50 people and you told them about this webinar and you told them what the topic is. Even if they didn't respond to you, you've at least got on their radar. They at least know what it is that you do. They at least are starting to connect the dots between the problem that you solve, how you help people, and your area of expertise. And then 10 people registered. Well, these are 10 people that otherwise, right, maybe you wouldn't have had a connection with before, or maybe you've just kind of solidified and strengthened your relationship with them because you invited them to this and they said yes. That's a small form of commitment, but regardless, they've now said they're going to come. Now, people get busy. Not all of them show up, and you only have 3 of those people show up. Well, you have 3 people now that you are doing a webinar for. But here's the cool part. You're able to demonstrate your expertise, provide value to 3 people. If I said to you today, hey, would you like to jump on a call or do a Zoom meeting with one ideal client? Would that be exciting for you? Well, of course it would, right? Because that's what all consultants are working towards, is creating more conversations and building relationships with their ideal clients. So if you're able to do that at scale, where you can have not just 1, but maybe 3 or maybe 30 or maybe 300 or whatever the number is, right? Ideal clients in one place at one time, and you're able to take them through and demonstrate your expertise and add real value for them. Isn't that valuable for you? Well, of course it is. So don't think about the number. Even if you had a webinar or you ran a webinar and you only had 1 person on it, it's not a failure, because here's why. Again, you've built up awareness of what it is that you are doing, what your area of expertise is. You have more visibility in the marketplace. You start to create relationships with these people. You then have some people maybe show up onto the webinar, but there's still a whole part of what happens after the webinar, because now you have a recording of this webinar. You can take that content and you can share it with other people. You can go back to the other, let's say, 40 people who did not even respond to you, or maybe just said that they can't even make it, and say, hey, here's the recording from the webinar. Here's the replay. If you'd like it, let me know, and send it to them. You can go back to the 7 people that maybe registered but didn't show up and say, hey, we just finished the webinar, really enjoyed it, got some great feedback from people. We talked about 3 key things that are really moving the industry right now and are providing an advantage. I'd be happy to jump on a quick call with you and go through them, because I know that you weren't able to make the live webinar today. Well, some of those people will take you up on that conversation. Some of the 40 that you reach out to as well about the replay and you make a similar offer to will also take you up on that offer for a conversation. Why? Because they want access to that knowledge, right? Executives and decision makers are always looking for new ideas, for an advantage, for best practices, how they can move things forward, how they can get a higher yield, better results. And so if you have insights that are going to be valuable to them, they likely will take you up on that. They might not say yes right away, but at some point they will. So really what I'm getting at here is you could look at only having one person on a webinar as being a failure, but in fact, I think it would be a massive success because you can create a lot of leverage from it. So the webinar is just one example here. There might be other areas of your business, of your life, where you right now are holding yourself back because you're trying to aim for perfection. But if you put perfection aside for a moment and just look at the process that you get to go through and how each part of that process could actually create a real benefit for you, you'll likely be pleasantly surprised. So the action tip and kind of action item here for you today is to move forward with whatever initiative has been on your mind for some time. Don't worry about it being perfect. Start the process because good things happen when you start.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Success Podcast. For more episodes and to subscribe, rate, and leave a review, head on over to iTunes. And if you'd like to develop consistent lead flow and a highly profitable consulting business, learn more about our coaching programs at consultingsuccess.com.